I'm excited for this one. I really am. This is our last match today.
Yep.
After this, we go for dinner.
Yes, true.
Maybe we go to another steakhouse. Maybe I get more uncomfortable.
Let's not.
Maybe I'm even more bloated tomorrow. And immediately we go to Oregon, and it's a...
No. Don't do that, Parker. Wake up, wake up.
Sorry.
Exciting betting coming in 5 seconds. Hey, the Thatcher one, forgive it.
What do you think
it
this is going
happens
to be?
every time.
What do you think this is going to be?
It's going to be... I actually have no idea. Ying. Flores. Oh. Next ban.
What are they going to ban?
Next ban's
Mira?
exciting.
Is this going to be Mira?
Valkyrie?
Mira or Valkyrie? Which one is it? Which one is it? Which one is it?
You know,
Taking their time.
I'm going to say Womai.
The Rogues taking their time. Womai?
Yep.
I'm going to say
Spice
Mira.
it up.
I'm going to say Mira.
One time. Boom.
Mira. Valkyrie. Sorry.
Oh, boy.
These bans are just not spicy enough for us. After all the delay in G2 bans? Ooh, okay, I'll take that one. I'll take it. We fight for every small victory we can get. Melusi is not a common ban across all the regions.
True.
Haha, Doki, have fun. Not.
Oh, boy.
Oh, it's going to get fun.
Melusi. Yeah, so Melusi and Oregon, obviously a very stellar pick. On basement, you always have like 3 staircases. You have the blue situation. On top floor, same story. You have white stairs and you have armory stairs. It's just like, you can pick an operator with Barboy, you're going to get 2. Melusi, she gets 3 Banshees. That's her gadget that acts better than a Barboy, arguably. And she also gets the impacts that you want a secondary gadget as well. So just tons of value across the board. And it's G2 target banning their own player, arguably. Both Citizen and Doki play this operator, but instead Citizen is on Capcan and Doki is on the Wamai. Now, Capcan is an operator that we see played on occasion. It's one of those operators that you can really play on any map, any bomb site in theory, but it's one of those, well, you can do a ton of damage if the enemy is too fast, not checking the doorways, or 0 damage if they do join them out or check the doorways. So it's not guaranteed value.
The change to Capcan, though, has made him so much more versatile.
Annoying.
More
annoying.
Versatile.
Versatile. Okay. And frustrating to play.
They'd be both the same thing.
Yes.
With Capcan, you get 5 traps now. They can go wherever, and you can put multiple on the same doorway. You can put all 5 Capcan traps on the same doorway. Why would you do that? 2 traps usually enough to kill people.
Yes.
Why would you do it? I don't know, but you can if you want to. The world is your oyster. Oh, I forgot. We had oysters last night.
We did? I didn't. You did, but yeah.
I did. That's correct. The world is your oyster. In this case, that oyster blows you up. I guess it's kind of the same thing as getting really bad food poisoning, except it leads to an untimely demise. The other thing about those Capcan traps is that even if they don't go off, they're going to get shot. Yeah. And guess what happens when you shoot them? Sound cue. So you know that somebody's coming in that direction.
Claymores,
just like as when you open up one of those Banshees and you shoot it, does it slow you down? Probably not, but at least lets them know that you're in the vicinity. There's one of the magnets that are used to take the grenade on those freezer stairs. You know the one operator I'm going to have my eye on?
Ella?
The Blitz.
Oh, I didn't even see the Blitz till now.
You didn't even see the Blitz?
I didn't even see the Blitz. I thought it was G2 playing the games right now, but it is going now. Oh, he's waiting. He's ADSing. I want to say, no, here. G2 normally roams on their basement defense. This time, they're hardcore turtling 1 guy big tower stairs. So it's a different approach than what we saw from the regular EUL stage. So, you know, Heroic being from EUL as well, they're very familiar and used to what G2 is going to be doing, so I think it's smart for them to change things up. And normally with Blitz, we see a blue rush. Benjamin is in that blue double door area, now running into big tower. But Gargona, the Blitz, the rush operator, so to speak, isn't on that side of the map, but Blitz can push from any direction. The 2 smoke grenades he has in his pocket can really enable and deny that line of sight, and therefore he can, you know, smoke off one angle, push the other, and give Blitz that 1 versus 1 duel that he so desires.
Gargona was being escorted down those freezer stairs with Sloth, but as you talked about the blue push being the thing for Blitz to do, they've repositioned and all of the pieces on the chessboard starting to come in quite nicely. Benja could spearhead a push through this blue area. 1 grenade goes out, nothing really done. Grizzly at the back tower stairs, firing away to distract. No intel on whether there's one above them. There's a minute left to go in this round. There's a drop. It's a clone. Virtue's position on Harry Potter given away, so he ascends the stairs. A collision course with Grizzly in hand, and Prano decides to get quite aggressive. A double for Virtue. In comes the Blitz. Prano just continuously backing away. Not blinded at all, and there he goes. Nicely done. Well handled, as it's a triple for Virtue, leaving Uno to go against his former team. He drops and takes takes out Doki, but for a second before Citizen finishes him off. Nearly a flawless round for G2 in round number 1.
That it was, and honestly, that entire round comes down to a very simple moment. It was Virtue getting drone dive by the Gemini clone. He shot it, then he snuck up the big tower stairs. Maverick rotated over, but started cooking a grenade. And the moment Virtue heard the sound of the cook, he pushed up the staircase and got a double kill. The round was pretty much over from that moment on forward because losing big tower control on the attack inside means there's no crossfire from the attackers when the blue push comes through. So Blitz and Benjamas on the finger, they push in through blue, but they're faced by 3 different angles. Leaves Uno all alone at freezer drop that we saw at the very end, and of course he cannot win a 1 versus 4 situation at all. It's just simply impossible. Therefore the round goes in favor of G2, who is now going to take us 1 floor up, or technically 2 floors up from basement, up towards this Kid Storm's defense instead. Let's see if they're going to do a similar fashion of like turtling on site, or if they'll actually extend this time around, because you can't really sit on the ground on this bomb site or on the bomb site itself because of those nades from below are so lethal. Gorgona as well, a tanker repicking a buck. That's going to further solidify that downstairs is a priority for Heroic most likely, so therefore G2, they can't just keep it up for free.
I like that they had 2 hard breachers coming in for Heroic. Originally the Maverick and Hibana combo, but realizing that they can get away with it if they bring a Ying with the secondary hard breach and a Thermite. So trying to meet this defensive setup of G2, as the issue for Heroic is tackling that top floor defense inside of dorms. And yes, obviously, if you're going to bring a buck, you can do so much more work from down below. A sledge cannot throw his hammer upwards. So if you want to tear away at the floor beneath the feet of the defenders, the buck is a way to go. Jackal also can be used in a pinch, as we said before, because that secondary shotgun, and any operator, in fact, with a shotgun. You could bring a sledge with the SAS shotgun if you really wanted to, but you're not going to do that because that's for lunatics.
And the SMG-11 is now removed, whereas before you probably could do it and get away with it, to be fair. But now you have a pistol and a shotgun, which really isn't ideal. Instead, right now, Heroic consisting on multiple areas of the map. You saw Buck entering Garage, you saw Benjamin entering Small Tower, Soft now in Shower Hall in 90, and Uno challenging the kid's bedroom hatch from below. And of course, this lineup from Heroic is very flexible, as you mentioned. They can open on Ying, while also having Grizzly and Thermite means you can be breaching 2 different areas of the map simultaneously. And I believe there's 2 players in Big Tower, and all 3 people down in Dining Hallway, but it's Sloth with a nice one-tap onto Virtue, who now finds the opening kill for his team.
Sloth with one of the highest KDs in all of EUL, and in fact, all across Tier 1 Rainbow Six, and shots like that just go to show you why Virtue decides to peek after aiding the nade. No real damage done, but Sloth makes him pay and punishes it immediately. That puts G2 at a disadvantage, and the star player from the previous round will not be able to have any major effect, barring those 3 ADSs that are scattered throughout the map, unless Heroic finds them and destroys them.
It's true. Now we see this split pressure coming out from Heroic, right? They've gotten the big tower breach open. Now shut down there from Citizen. The one here who can do it all, if anything, from the side of G2 takes down Benja.
Gorgona takes down Ali Mao, so back again, an advantage favoring this Heroic roster, as now Sloth marches up White Stairs. G2 well spread out. It's a play by Attic that we see from Prano as he's standing inside of Trophy. He's got the window in front of him, and there go the Ying Candelas. He might cost his teammate of Doki his life, but no, Prano the perfect read. G2's guns coming alive, both teams lose 2, and Doki retakes the bomb site, down goes Sloth. It's all on the shoulders of Ying as the diffuser goes down, and Uno tries to evade a Nitro Cell, but he can't evade the bullets from the DMR of Prano's gun. Huge play from Prano inside of Trophy. Heroic not flushing out that part of the map, and it costs them. G2 now up 2-0.
It did. It looked good for Heroic. They had the General Repel, they had 1 player inside Attic, and I believe 2 people on that big window, at least 1 big window, 1 White Stairs. In short, they had a lot of angles covered. 1/2 of the map was completely theirs, but then those simple 1 versus 1 gunfights don't go in their favor. The moment they lose the single Attic player, 1/2 of the map gets opened up to the side of G2, allowing Prano and Citizen to push further into the bomb site. Then, Sloth, he won his first initial confrontation, but then the Attic player of Doki pushed in through the Attic, through the Kid Storm rotation, and took down Sloth. He won that 1 versus 1 himself, and that left Unu as a sole player left standing who had to plant. which means you can't do it all. You can't both kill people and plant at the same time. I kind of wish Heroic would use the Ying to then push deep and create chaos with someone else planting instead, because if you are the Ying, you can either only you cannot be blinded by your gadget, so if you're the one that's planting as well, you cannot really use it that aggressively because there is a chance you will blind your teammates and that's not going to bode well for you. So the Ying, a little bit underutilized, not a huge loss in the end, but Heroic, it looked great, fell short.
This forces G2 to go to one of the tertiary bomb sites. Very similar to about half of the maps in the map pool, we will see almost certainly every single bomb site on Oregon get played. Yeah, of course, the basement bomb site of Laundry Supply Room and then the top floor bomb site of Dorms tend to be the two most commonly used. But you've got this adjoining part of the map, which that's an odd one. that's an odd one.
Looks like he's cheating.
Yeah, I don't know what LML is doing there, but that's one we haven't seen for a while. The adjoining bomb site, which is kitchen down below, connects to either meeting or to dining / mess hall / cafeteria, whatever you want to call it. That bomb site is where G2 chose to go, which isn't a stylistic choice. Some teams like defending small tower and extending out to showers. Citizen might like it, but it doesn't exactly prove to be so successful. Grenade from Sloth goes in, Adrenal Surge to follow up, and Sloth takes matters into his own hands, fishing for another kill. Benja not too far away, and down goes Prano. G2 will need to retake towards the bomb site as this move from Heroic nets 2 kills. Alley-Mouse swats away 1, but G2 still at a disadvantage. Alley-Mouse knows that there's multiple in there. Here's the Rat-a-tat-tat, the LMG. He's nestled safely inside a dining hall. Gorgona taking damage to Virtue from above. Small tower never fully cleared out as Virtue allows them to pass under his very nose. A lot of action with still 1 minute and 40 seconds left to go on the clock. Uno picked apart by Doki, traded back by Grizzly. Benja in on the fun as well, and now it's Virtue to clutch. 3 huge kills in round number 1. That was a statement from Virtue, as he tends to have quieter stats on G2. But this is quite a lot of work to be done now.
They should know where he is because Virtue shot a player earlier on. Yeah, they know. Tank going down, 3rd player outside of the door. Should be okay.
So a potential tough shot to make for the Sledge, but Gorgona doesn't do anything about it. Virtue trapped on these stairs, and there you go. The Sledge swings into action. Gorgona takes him down. Heroic find their very first round. It comes on the tertiary bomb site, and one that can often be tricky to defend. G2 fall apart as the first nade from Sloth heralds the coming of Heroic, and they sweep through the bomb site and never let up.
The tertiary bomb site really is where the attack are supposed to win almost every single time, and it was a really great beginning for Heroic. Then it kind of stalled out and it looked dire for a moment. Also worth noting, when we're spectating Alamau, he's not actually hip-firing people. He is in ADS. That's like
he is.
Okay, he is actually hip-firing.
He has broken the game.
He has broken the game on the land build. Just in case you guys are wondering, like, what was he doing runs a small tower, hip-firing people like halfway across the map? He was most likely, Hawker, ADS in that situation. That's going to put us downstairs once again into the basement of things, where last time Heroic tried to go for that backstairs attack from Blue and Big Tower. Virtue swung at the right moment, caught 2 players as they were cooking grenades, so we didn't really see the full execute, we didn't see the full idea from the brains of Heroic. And this time, they're not going to give us the blitz, but they will show us the Ying for now, like we saw in that kid's bedroom attack as well.
Back where things began.
Yes.
Laundry Supply Room with a potentially very different look from the way the defense will hold. I find it very unlikely that Heroic are going to allow anybody from G2, whether it be Virtue or somebody else, to just exist in that Harry Potter spot at the back of tower stairs. You want to drone that one out. Just as they didn't determine, maybe they did know where he was, but they didn't do anything about Prano inside of Trophy. So the 2 rounds that G2 won, largely capitalizations off of Heroic not particularly being aware of a particular G2 player in a particular spot.
It's true. This time, though, G2 are roaming, like we discussed in the first round. Typically, this is what G2 will do on the Oregon basement defense. Kid Storm hatches open, then they have a rotate to meeting, and meeting hatches soft or all opened as well. This means you can do a triple fallback. You gotta escort Doki out of here from this first floor support, jam on the single wall. Heroic, they barely get there in time. Well, they don't actually get there in time because Doki barely gets out. Either way, he survives, and it's a 5v5 still with 2 minutes left.
Benjamaster involved in an altercation upstairs in attic, and we'll go for the long reload on that LMG as he was down to 34 bullets. The fact that you can go through that much ammo in such a short period of time is...
He'd be shooting.
It's really fantastic, and it's just a hallmark of Finka, baby.
Look at the time though, 1:40 left, Doki's still inside a meeting. They have absolutely zero idea, but now there's Doki about the injury. Anyway, Adelar finishes off the kill. That means now 4 versus 5. Half the round in terms of time has been burned out, as well as half the drones from Heroic. This is a massive G2W when it comes to the roam.
And look at that focus from G2 on the back tower is not as strong as it was. So G2 changes things up based upon where this Heroic execute is going to come from. Last time around, the focus was back of tower and then over towards Freezer. Heroic's eyes are set on that Freezer component of the map, but they are in a current predicament. Just over a minute to go.
Oh, that sucks.
Blocked out by the Twitch on the drone as Benja now gets into action, and nades will get tossed on out. One from Yana and one from Finka. Neither really connect the way they want. A tiny bit of damage done to Doki. On him, that's about the normal amount of damage. And now Grizzly marches down Laundry Stairs. Beautiful shot on the Citizen. He can hold on to this position, as the diffuser will need to be escorted in the hands of Twitch. Doki repositioning himself. His line of sight towards Freezer, blocked off by a smoke. 40 seconds to go. Waiting patiently, healed up by one of those Kona stations of Citizen. The gadget will persist even if Thunderbird is off of the map. Alimao will need to be the one to get healed up next. Virtue takes out Benja. Alimo fouls. He had been downed earlier on, and now crawling across the floor. It's a huge double piece from Doki, and Laundry Supply Room will be locked for the remainder of their defense as G2 goes up 3-1.
That everyone, I mean, that right there is, again, like kind of that unfortunate tale for Heroic. The first player that fell was Uno on the Ying, and that really is your entire execute when it comes to the bomb site itself. So while they did roam clear, not greatly, but it was all right, so to speak. Once they got to the bomb site, they lost most of their intention. We see it right there. They injured the Doki, got to the wall, then Alima walked up the armory stairs, or laundry stairs rather, and got the kill himself. And that really puts Heroic in the basket for that one. 1-3 now down for the side of Heroic. It's round 5, going back upstairs into Kid Storms, and Uno will keep on flexing his muscles on these various operators, the Ying, the Capital, etc. He's really trying to bring as much value in these rounds as possible by bringing out the flexibility that he is able to do.
Again, G2 goes upstairs. This rotation looking very similar. It's only a 3-site rotation that you need, and well, Dorms is a bomb site that does tend to work in your favor if you hold on to control of it with about 30 seconds left. You can get boxed out, and this was talked about before, is when you've got half of the bomb site upstairs with walls that you can't quite shoot through. I mean, look, with the exception of that small wall in attic, with the exception of the 3-panel wall over towards Dorms, then of course the 2-panel there leading from closet into the bomb site of games. Everything else is a solid wall, so you can play off of that as a defender in a much safer spot, knowing that you're not going to be down by bullet pen, and additionally, it means that the attackers can't use hard breach to open that up.
It's true. There's a threat or danger down below. We see Benja now shooting that grenade, but we know there is no one there because we see the outlines, although he does not. G2, they have reinforced these walls down below. We saw Virtue on the Jaeger roaming as well. Nick comes up, nice landing onto Prano. That means that Aruni's off the board. Not a huge loss for G2. They can make do without him, I believe. Virtue on this roam in the basement really is the big question mark for us, because if the timing is right, Virtue can single-handedly save this round, or at least get a lot of damage in. But it's no easy feat without information.
It's the 3rd opening pick, by the way, for Heroic. They've only got 1 round to show for it. They want to have as much success as they did back in round number 3. They trade blows. Down goes Doki before Benjamaster can be finished off. Another grenade, sounds like a depth charge, blows up at the feet of Alimao, and a ton of damage done to him, but still upright for the time being. He uses all of his toxic canisters, so no worry about bringing them with him to the grave. Another grenade goes off, this time Citizen the target, and he sustains some damage as well. Heroic using all of these to great effect. They've still got one in the pocket of Grizzly, but they might not need it as both Virtue and Alimao are wiped off the map. Oh. Citizen in back tower, completely ceding control of the bomb site as Uno gets the diffuser planted, and now Citizen will have to go for the long walk of shame all the way back and stare down the 4 players from Heroic. Almost certain now that Heroic will pull this off. I have no idea how Citizen is going to accomplish this, and I think he's in a position where he might not be able to pull it off too. He gets 1, but Uno trades him out for his trouble. Heroic, a much better round this time on Dorms, and it's because in large part They didn't need to isolate the players from G2. They punished them on the roam. They punished them on the bomb site. They got the diffuser down, and now they're within 1 round of tying it up and sending us into the second half 3-3.
Yeah, I mean, they found the 3 isolated targets. I mean, the first one was that vertical grenade that we spoke about, very lethal indeed. You cannot really stand in these common spots when you're on the defensive side unless you have down 6 control, and that's what Prano did. Stood in a predictable position, if you can argue. Virtue tried to go for that flank from Fusion Stairs basement, but got like a second too late timing. Sledge just held the angle, he became a freebie, and that means that now we've gone through all 4 bomb sites, as G2 shows us the meeting kitchen bomb site, the only one they haven't been to yet. Speaking of bomb sites, Oregon in the... It did happen.
All 4 bomb
you
sites.
said it.
All 4 bomb
and
sites.
G2 did it single-handedly, so good job, G2. Oregon in the EWL played 6 times, is 51% favored for the defensive side. So barely, you know, slight advantages to the defending. If Heroic can go 3-3 right now, given how unfortunate their early rounds were for them, I think that's great. Ending 2-4, arguably expected outcome if you're on the attacking side. You know, you have Kite open, you have Thatcher banned, so basement hatches can be like really fortified, etc. Walls are hard to get through. We'll see.
So foretold was the attacker repick that both Benjamaster and Grizzly stay on Finka and Maverick, 2 very important components of virtually every attacker lineup. I like this Nook pick from Sloth. Now, Sloth has not exactly had a dominating performance. He's at 5-4, but is still leading the team. But with Nook already being in the building with 30 seconds to go, you can very easily make your own space. But he's been given away. And now the jig is up. They know that there is a Nook in back tower. The surprise? Gone. It's completely.
It's unfortunate. Your gadget makes you invisible to cameras, but you cannot be on your gadget while also throwing out a drone and using that piece of utility, so there it is. Another nade goes out from Benja. Almost does a bit of damage, but not quite. But this means they can now start working on that meeting wall. It's a direct attack towards the big tower of things. Very typical approach in most teams in pro play. Gotta clear out the corners, clear out the strong positions inside a meeting. The sandbags in the middle, the sandbags on the right. We see one silhouette right there. This nade could do some damage, but it blows up very easily, or very quickly rather.
I think
there was something close to the wall.
I think they see that the wall is potentially still closed with the way that they're firing at it, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't honestly know what is being visible to them and what isn't to us. G2 leads off, killing a beautiful shot from Virtue as he feeds Gorgona his own thoughts. And now more damage being done as well. It forces an adrenal surge from Benjamaster. He takes matters into his own hands, and down goes Ali Mao on sandbags. Benja's still flirting with that back of meeting. He can head towards stage whenever he wants. Diffuser will need to be escorted in, but first it needs to be retrieved. It has not been picked up. Grenade goes in, eaten by a magnet, and there's the diffuser now in the hands of Sloth. Benja could engage very easily with Virtue, but thinks better of it. Another adrenal surge goes out. The 3 players from Heroic all stacked up on the back of stage. 1 minute to go, and in goes Sloth. He's going to get the diffuser planted. Does that toxic canister hit? Virtue sends out a second as well, and Sloth manages to get away, losing half of his HP. Down goes Sloth, and Grizzly will follow. And it's Benjamaster against the world, Nick. He needs to just sit and watch the diffuser. He's got the gun for it, but he's going to take out Virtue. I don't know what's happening right now. It's him versus Citizen and Prano, sitting back and waiting. 25 seconds to go. Great patience. Prano hops on it, the Yokai doing some damage, at least just obscuring him, and it's Citizen to finish him off with very limited HP. An easy retrieve of the diffuser, and the first half goes in the books. G2, 4-2.
G2, 4-2. Again, kind of like a quote-unquote expected outcome in the situation, but again, it's so close for Heroic, having a rough start again in that round. Benja was left in a 1 versus 4. We saw, you guys missed a few seconds, but essentially, he got the kill into the meeting player, then got the kill in the hallway, then he backed out as he got Yokai stunned, and then you guys saw the 1 versus 2 play out. He swung the big target, was holding the diffuser, and he lost the round at the end. So he didn't miss much, but didn't miss a single kill, I believe. Might see it in the replay, perhaps. Got the 1, got the second, backed out. And there it is.
I'd like to issue a correction here that when I said the Yokai doing some damage, I didn't mean physical damage. Because Yokai doesn't actually do any damage. It was more so damage to Benja's position as it was given away, and he was disoriented.
Yes.
G2 now moving on to attack. Heroic will trail on defense based on what you said. 51% being the one side, 49% the other.
This is the 1% difference right there. You know, 1%.
I mean, that's not true. G2 has an upper hand just based on the way that this map is played, but we'll see exactly what transpires as they swap sides.
That's true. Similar fashion that G2 showed on their second basement defense, we see a similar thing right now from Heroic. The extension, the meeting reinforcement, rotated into from kitchen into server, meeting hatch probably opened up, again allowing the roam to be enabled and activated. You start top floor, you fall back to first floor, then eventually fall back to basement. Now it's up to G2 to either A, rush the bombs out aggressively and take control while there's fewer people there, or 2, roam clear them out, which it looks like they're going to try and do.
The one real thing that I find for Heroic to be their worst, I guess, attribute at the moment is they don't have any of these players taking over the game. Sloth has stolen games for them. Benja has done the same. Neither of these players right now are outpacing their rivals. And Gorgona, you need to be faster than that. You need to be faster than that. You need to be better than that. You get taken out by 3 players from G2, and down goes Grizzly as well. What is going on as G2 just bull rushes? 3 players, 4 players. There's 2 minutes and 5 seconds left, and Benja is the last player standing. Denies a flawless, but Alimau gets his teammates back. And I guess we're trying to speed run to the finals at this point, making up for lost time. G2 take the first round within a minute and 15 seconds. Their very first attack, quite successful.
That just scratching my forehead right now because, again, like it's a little bit of bad timing, but how that entire thing kind of played out, we're gonna walking down the white stairs chasing a ghost, getting grenaded, getting shot, and you get the mute as well from Doki. It's just, it is puzzling to me how many things that went wrong in a 10 seconds time zone for Heroic. That was the entire round, literally in 10 to 15 seconds. And I think Mr. Officer agrees because tactical timeout has been called from Heroic. They need to talk about what's going on right now because this is not the Heroic that we know from UL. It's not what they expect from themselves. We cannot blame the luggage being late, the lack of scrim in practice. Like, sure, those are factors, but that does not change you from being almost undefeated in EUL to getting stumped by G2, who looked much weaker than you just a few weeks prior.
Absolutely correct. The tactical timeout being taken right now is done to stop some of the bleeding that's going on. We would like to remind you that while one team takes a tactical timeout, the other team is also able to speak with their coach. Obviously, if you have some deficiencies going on in your game, it's a good thing to kind of hit that pause button. Take a deep breath, maybe settle the team down. Sometimes it isn't even necessarily strategic. We've talked to coaches in the NAL, as that's where you and I both work, and the coaches will say that sometimes it's just a mental reset. Talk to them, inspire them, say, yeah, you know what, some of the rounds have not been great, but we're okay. And again, I want to reiterate that as high as Heroic was flying before coming into this event, for 4 of these players, this is their first major international event. Astralis did not necessarily look like themselves in their earlier matchup. XSET certainly did not look like themselves in their earlier matchup. Heroic are not looking like the EUL Heroic that we come to see. And I imagine that there is first-time land jitters for all of these players. And you talk to teams, and they will tell you that, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on their shoulders. I know coming in here, Heroic had a rough time getting here. You mentioned the fact they had a torturous schedule. It took them like 30 hours to get here, and many of them didn't have their luggage. Yeah, there's a mental cost associated with that. So who knows exactly what the reasoning was for it, but this is just point blank. This is just not the Heroic that we've seen in EUL. They need to settle themselves down, play their game, because right now G2 is controlling the tempo of this match.
And then fair play as well, right? Like G2 also playing a lot better than what they did in EUL. So it goes both ways where Heroic playing a little bit worse, G2 playing a little bit better. Therefore, we now see a gap right now in that 5-2 scoreline. So I don't want to take anything away from G2 or just like slander Heroic. It is a multi-team situation here as Alamau sneaks or almost snuck his drone into the bomb site itself. It's a little bit of a breeze here. We're chilling, figuring things out. Impetic goes out, exposing Prano and shuts down his drone. Minute has passed. Nothing has really happened. That's massive in importance. But looking at the lineup, G2 bringing out both the Osa and the Ying. Those are the 2 execution operators. That's what we care about in the last minute and a half or so, or in the last minute when the bomb site becomes a priority. Until then, all eyes are on the Finger, the Maverick, the Twitch to gain the map control and shut down the cameras, gain, you know, the staircases, and then we can start seeing what's next. For Heroic, the mirror windows, they're going to be super important. The toxic base from Uno, same story. No C4s outside of Sloth, which means there is limited utility that Heroic can use outside of their actual guns.
This Ying play on Oregon is so commonplace now, and a big part of that is the secondary gadget too. Don't sleep on Ying's ability as the Candelas obviously can make a huge impact on a round, but Smokes and the Hard Breach secondary gadget are both incredibly potent for any bomb site that we see. The Smokes tend to work more up at the top. For the bottom floor, the secondary Hard Breach can do some good work. Obviously, when there's an Electric Claw on the hatch, the Hard Breach gadget is not going to work out. That's what the Maverick is for, and they need to open it up. G2 could go for a quick execute, and it looks like this might be the strategy. Nades going in, Candela's drop as well, and it's a fracas. Prano taking some damage, and Adrenal Surge gets hit, and G2 is back to full HP. Benja waiting and watching Pill, seeing who can drop E-Box, as it's sometimes referred to as. All the hesitancy that you see from Heroic could pay off here, because that urgency from G2, well, they drop, and Benja can't do much more than one, but Gorgona can. Huge amounts of kills swatted away by Virtue. It's a 2v2. Figure out the location of the final two players on either side, and you can very easily propel yourself towards a victory. For G2, that means match point. Uno takes down the Maverick of Virtue, and then turns around and takes down Prano as well. 2 for the price of 1. Excellently played, and it is a round so desperately needed by Heroic to keep themselves in this match.
That it is. Huge round for them. It's a bit of a stall from G2, right? Those Electric Claws really bought so much time for them. And then, well, it looked like a fast execute. But once again, with the Candela changes, the flashes are less effective, but you get more of them. So you toss them out early. You buy yourself some time, some momentum perhaps, and you also confuse your opponents to when you're going to strike. And then, well, when they did strike, Gorgona was there. Almost down 3 kills, shut down the initial push, shut down the rush, and then, well, clean up the rest of Heroic.
I mean, if you've got somebody playing on Pillar, which is exactly where we saw the Wamai play, if I remember correctly, you need to dispatch a body over towards Pillar or at the back of tower stairs to ensure that they're not having that same success on your E-Box drop, or simply use the Candelas to your advantage. That was not the case. Heroic managed to stave off whatever push that G2 had, and, you know, frankly, it wasn't terrible the way that G2 went about it, but Heroic were just the better team when push came to shove, and I think you're correct. The Electric Claws, the stalling, I don't know why G2 seemed to have that level of hesitancy. Maybe they just didn't have information as to where the players were. Maybe they didn't drone them out. I'm not entirely certain. That's something that I don't have anywhere near enough credentials to talk about. Either way, doesn't really matter. We can speculate as much as we want. Heroic were the better team in that round. They capitalized. They pick up their 3rd round. They have done better now, even if they lose, than what happened against Na'Vi, as Na'Vi beat them 7-2.
I do want to say,
still very much in this.
G2 has had some sloppy Oregon rounds and games in the past, so you can almost argue maybe that they actually took the time to check the entire list, because previously they've been missing a corner. They'd go into the bomb site and bam, there's a guy close left, you miss him. So maybe this is just a case of G2's kind of like their ghosts from the past, chasing them back, look for the feet, nope, doesn't see them. So they made sure to check every nook and cranny, cost them some time. Ultimately, the round, arguably, Gorgona barely gets away with his life. Solo roaming in Oregon is extremely scary, extremely dangerous. A Valkyrie Big Bang for defenders, it means there's almost no information. You're working blindly off instincts. That's where some players have really got it, right? We speak about Citizen, one of the players with the absolute like most ridiculous and it's like he just knows what the enemy is. Like, he's ready for it every single time. I bet you he told his teammate, hey, I'm going to rappel here, open the window when I tell you to, I'll get a free kill. I bet you he said it, and there it is, Benja's off the board. 2
players with the highest plus-minus in all of EUL are Benja and Sloth, and they are both currently negative, which is not what you want out of this team, but Heroic are still hanging in there, in large part the supporting cast. Uno has played safe, and with those safe moments, he's been able to win some rounds, and don't count out Gorgona either, who has been, in my opinion, even though he doesn't, or I guess technically he has the most kills now, has looked like Heroic's most formidable player and is their best asset. You talked about solo roaming, and there he is with the DMR in hand. That's 2 to 3 bullets that can drop just about any body anywhere across the map. If G2 do not understand this, they can very easily get pounced upon from that flank that Gorgona has going.
That nade actually did damage onto Uno all the way back in Attic, so that was almost a Kobe.
Almost. No healing potential there either, as there's no Thunderbird on the board.
A kill.
Yeah, that should be, but Grizzly gets away with just a single point of HP. There's at least one other nade on the board that can be tossed out by Citizen. That's all she wrote, and there goes one of those volcanic canisters from Banjamaster. 20 seconds will feel like eternity. Ali Mao now getting chunked away, but he takes out Gorgona on the roam, and now it's Uno to die too. Grizzly on a shred of HP is prone on the floor. A single bullet will do so much to him, and he loses the fight. It leaves Sloth in a 1v3 that becomes very quickly a 1v3 from a 1v4, but it doesn't matter. G2 take the round in absolute chaotic fashion, and they find themselves in this Battle of Europe on top on match point 6-3.
A little bit scrappy, a little bit messy, a little bit chaotic that round, I would say. But, I mean, it's working. G2 right now are actually thriving in the chaos more often than not. And, while we can judge them from their past Oregon games, right now they are showing us a half-decent game, I would say. I
mean, I would say that this is better than half-decent.
It's very decent.
If you look at the pick'ems for this match, and who thought that Heroic would go on in this group in particular. I mean, this is a group with W7M and DarkZero. It is a very competitive group. This was referred to by so many as the group of death because you've got the best team in LATAM, you've got the best team in EU, you've got the fourth team in EU who's currently beating the best team in EU, and then you've got the fourth team in NA. But there's not really any weak teams at this tournament.
No.
And even though W7M have to play from Mexico, they still showed against DarkZero what they are capable of. Now, for Heroic, even if you claw this one back and push overtime, win or lose, you have W7M up next. That is a particularly daunting task.
Yes.
Whether they are playing on ping or not, W7M have just looked unstoppable. But so did Heroic, and look at Heroic is currently being stopped by the team that Heroic beat when they played in EUL.
Yep. Last time to remind you guys watching, there was a clubhouse matchup between Heroic and G2. Heroic won 7-5. It was close-ish, I suppose, but it was ultimately Heroic victory. Now we see Grizzly extending up above in tier 3 of big tower. So like the tiers, like the level tier 1 is first floor, tier 2 is second floor, tier 3 is the catwalk right here, in case you guys are wondering. And that's a very common position to be in to kind of stop the attackers from gaining the ground that is big tower, because you need at least 2 or 3, if not more, members to remove Grizzly from this position. So if they don't want to commit all those resources, they'll have to just walk around and find another avenue or call everybody over, which I thought for a second they were going to do, but no. Trying to sneak this Garage player from Doki, get some damage, not a kill, but Elamau gets Grizzly as well. That is the big top player.
I mean, we were going to talk about tower. You said that roaming on Oregon can be so hard and so isolating. Nice shot by Sloth. He lost some HP earlier on. He takes out Ali Mao. Down goes the F2. Now it's Benja to sustain some damage, but they bait them on in. Gorgona takes out Citizen. Suddenly, the upper hand is Heroics, and back upstairs, Benja will scamper off. His rat plays down below. Another from Gorgona. Sloth will play on stairs and die as Prano takes that one for his team, but G2 still trailing. I like this from Heroic. This is gutsy. They are bringing the fight to G2 and stopping them every single time they go to come into the building. Now it's Gorgona to take a ton of damage through the wall. Look at the HPs of everybody in the lobby.
It's risky.
Almost everybody has been winnowed down to nothing.
It's risky gameplay. I would say consolidate, consolidate, consolidate. But Heroic, you said it, they want to fight. Bring it towards T2, and there are still these grenades coming out. Virtual almost kills the wrong player, himself that is in this case. But he does stay alive. Has one more frag in his pocket, 3 flashbangs from Prano. Maybe they can make a play with 1 minute and 8 seconds left. Depends if Heroic are playing together or isolated. That's always the name of the game in these 2 versus 3s. The team that has more people next to one another playing that trade game will usually come out on top.
Uno, the only player with 50 seconds left that has full HP out of the 5 that are still up in the server. G2 looking to put an exclamation mark on the day. Yeah, they didn't have the best results against DZ, but they're doing mighty fine against Heroic, and things get a little bit better. The gap between them narrows now as it's a 2v2. And time still ticks away. With Heroic on defense, they just need to wait patiently for G2 to come to them. Prano with Diffuser in hand, he's not going to be able to live through a single one of Uno's 2 toxic canisters. So there is denial here from Heroic, and this is an incredibly winnable round for them. The Kingmaker is going to be Virtue. Do they know where he is? They don't, and Benja gets caught running through Trophy. Puzzlingly, Uno against his former team for redemption. A toxic canister tossed out over towards Trophy. He's got a great spot on the Virtue, but it's Prano to seal the deal. G2 topple Heroic 7-3, and they might have lost in the regular season of EUL, but internationally, G2 gets the last laugh.
That they do. That final round is gonna hurt if you're Uno, because you had just tossed the Toxic Bay White Stairs. The second one went towards the breach onto Closet, and then Benjamaster running away in that 2v2, back turn towards Armory when you, like, arguably that's probably where one of the players are going to be at. I'm not a big fan of that 2 versus 2 situation, not the fact that Heroic had the lead in that final round and then somehow managed to throw it away.
I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot to talk about between these two teams. G2 always seems to elevate themselves internationally.
Always.
Doesn't matter who's playing on the team. They are just so consistent. It's like NIP. NIP almost always elevate themselves internationally.
TSM.
FaZe elevate themselves internationally. TSM, absolutely. But for G2, they walk away today with a loss in overtime, a win in regulation. That's 4 points if my arithmetic is correct, and that's huge for a group of death. For Heroic, a disappointing first match and a disappointing international debut for many players on this squad, and things frankly don't get much better because they have W7M right up next. But before we get there, we're going to have to break down this matchup. But before we get there, we have our corporate sponsors. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Well, our European brawl was not as exciting as we had hoped it would be for fans of G2. I'm sure you're thrilled with the result for fans of Heroic. Well, it's a GG go next.
It is, and they got, as you said, a heavy road ahead of them, because if you thought G2 was easy or if you thought it was difficult, W7M arguably a whole other class as well, because they have been stomping the Latin scene in their next free road. So.
They are, but they are of course playing on ping. Before we get there,
yeah,
because that's going to be both Fluke and Hap taking over that matchup, and I'm going to be watching it, and I'm sure we're probably going to be watching it together.
Yeah.